Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville, in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so honored and so wicked happy that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the podcast, and please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Tim Kleyn. He is here to celebrate his debut picture book. It's called Set Sail For Pancakes. Before we cast off our lines and set sail for pancakes with Tim, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by Happy Jack, Sad Jack, written by attorney and author Mark Bello. Jack has always been a happy little boy, but when he starts kindergarten, he discovers that he is different than the others. For the very first time, Jack is bullied. Happy Jack suddenly becomes very sad Jack. What should Jack do? Should he tell an adult? Should he tell his parents? Would his teachers or principal understand? What can they do to help? As parents, we want certain things for our kids. Mainly, we want them to be happy. Can today's kids celebrate their differences, or are they doomed to fight over them like generations before? Happy Jack, Sad Jack, a bullying story, is a must-read for all children, and one your child will never forget. Get your copy today, Happy Jack, Sad Jack by Mark Bello. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Polar Peril, an exciting middle grade novel by Margaret Pollock. Get ready for a breathtaking adventure in Polar Peril. This captivating story introduces us to 12-year-old Nikki and her cousin Charlie Chum. When they're attending the Mohawk Strawberry Festival, a seer gives Nikki a magic carved polar bear named Follow Me. Follow Me guides her as she learns how to talk with animals and fly. Follow Me tells Nikki that the creator has an assignment for her, to fly to the Arctic to save the polar bears whose world is melting from global warming. This is the story of a life-changing adventure that you and your kids are going to love. Talk about a great book that's going to spark some important conversations with you and your tweens and teens. Get this book today, Polar Peril, great middle grade novel by Margaret Pollock. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Michigan. Our guest is here today to celebrate his debut picture book and to celebrate pancakes. Please welcome to the show the author and illustrator of Set Sail For Pancakes, Tim Kleyn. Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm pretty awesome, too, and I'm hungry for some pancakes.
Yeah, me too, always.
So tell us about Set Sail For Pancakes, please.
It is my first picture book that I wrote and illustrated, and it is basically a girl and her grandpa who are hungry for pancakes, just like me. And they have a problem, though, that they don't have the ingredients on hand, so they have to go sailing throughout the open seas to get their ingredients. And, it's a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. The idea of a grandfather and his granddaughter setting sail on an adventure, it is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I'm not a grandfather yet, hopefully soon.
Yeah.
But my daughter, when she was in high school, she went to an international high school, and that meant she had lots of extended vacations so her classmates could go home to Japan and China and India. And I remember her freshman year, she turned to me and she said, "What am I going to do for the next 3 weeks?" And I said, "Why don't you come out on tour with me?" And so she would come out on tour. I'd do educational magic shows around the country, and we would go and drive around the country and meet lots of kids and have lots of adventures and spend lots of nights in Holiday Inn Expresses. But it was a wonderful time. And so I'm thinking that setting sail for those pancake ingredients would be a really wonderful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just like a really special relationship that I really want to lean into, and it's just kind of like a fun. There's like a lot of humor, and I really liked focusing on that relationship. I don't see like a lot of like picture books necessarily with like a grandpa and granddaughter, so I thought that'd be kind of fun to explore, and yeah.
Yeah, those we really love to celebrate the intergenerational relationships because I think it was something that was really important in my life. I had a beautiful relationship with both my grandmother and grandfather, but especially with my grandmother. I've mentioned on the show, she would ride in the back of my motorcycle and we'd go to the WWE together and she would scream for her.
Cool.
And it was very, very cool. And for a lot of reasons, we're a much more mobile society now where families are living in different parts of the country. I don't see kids having that same kind of opportunity. And my kids were very, very blessed to be able to have ongoing relationships with 3 of their grandparents. It's not the same for every kid, and I think that's a real shame.
Yeah, I agree. I have a little 18-month-old, and she's blessed with really, really great grandparents, and obviously really 2 great parents too. But she's so sweet, and it's so great to like watch her with my family, and it's just so great,
Yeah. Was it becoming the dad to a little girl? Was that part of the inspiration for the book?
It definitely helped in the process of making it, but she came after like I started like writing. But actually the story, I had done like a sketch like almost exactly 8 years before the published date of the book, and it was like those 2 characters, the girl and the grandpa, and a boat. And I put it in a folder called Fun Projects. And it just kind of like sat there. And then now it's like a real life book. We kind of came back to it and got an agent. And then here we are today. And we're looking at a publishing date coming up. It's just, I don't know. It's just a lot of, I keep saying it's a lot of fun, but it really is. It's that fun project.
Yeah. I love listening to your kind of, it's almost as if you still can't believe that it's happening and you're waiting for somebody to wake you up and go, we're just goofing on you.
That's exactly right, actually. And I think it's been true, like this whole thing, like going through the publishing thing and then becoming a dad, like kind of around the same time. So like my whole life just feels like not real. It's just so everything's, like it's hard to grasp. It's just so exciting, and I feel privileged to be on the journey.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? And I love this podcast because we get to go off-road, and we never know where the conversations are going to go. But isn't it interesting that a lot of times in our lives when we dream of something and we really look forward to something and we really work hard to make something happen, when it really does happen, a lot of times we're left sitting there going, this can't be this can't be real. I don't deserve this. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that sense of not deserving has come into play a lot, and it's been like challenged. Like it's like really validating to be like published, and you have so many celebrations along the way. It's like, oh yeah, this is real. Like I'm celebrating, like we got this part of the book done, and like I don't know, I got introduced to this person in the industry, and like I don't know, there's so many like little steps that you start feeling like maybe this is real, and I don't know. It's still hard to wrap my head around, I gotta be honest.
So was writing and illustrating picture books something that you've been dreaming about for a long time?
Oh yeah. It's kind of always there as like a goal that I want to do that. And it kind of fluctuated a few times when I was like, maybe this isn't realistic, or like, yeah, there are times when I was doubting myself, but I just kind of went for it, and it eventually eventually happened. One cool thing is that I pitched this book to different agents. I was trying to get representation, and then I kind of like gave up on it because I was like, I got a few rejections, and maybe this isn't that good, and I'm not ready. And so I kind of tabled it and like started pitching a different book. And then we actually started with this one, obviously. So like I got an offer from my awesome agent Tracy, and then she's like, "What other books do you have?" And I was like, "I have this one." We started with this one actually because it just seemed like the world needed a little bit of an adventure or kind of like a getaway. Like things have been kind of heavy, so we need something fun and light and pancakey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to talk more about the book, but I'm curious, since this has been a dream of yours for a long time, I'm wondering if there was a book, an author, or an artist that was somebody that really inspired you. Was there a book that you read and looked at and go, I want to be like this person?
Oh, that's kind of hard to put my finger on. But I mean, my mom was an author. She is an author, and she does like a lot of like religious texts and stuff. And when I was a little kid, I was like, I want to illustrate your books, Mom. And so then there's just kind of like, I went to art school and like tons of people that I'm inspired by there. I remember like one book as a kid though, I think it was called The One That Got Away. I'm trying to remember the author's name, but it was just like really silly. And I really liked how like the pictures were fun and the story was like silly. And I think it was kind of like a punny story. And, I just remember that feeling of like, oh, this is fun. And like, I could do this. Like, it sounds like a fun thing to do. Like you can make this your job. And, here I am today. It's awesome.
That's great. That's great. So getting back to the book, Set Sail for Pancakes.
Yeah.
You were mentioning that this is, we are just coming out of the pandemic, and a lot of your audience, kids who are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, they've just spent a big chunk of their lives in lockdown. Yeah. They've spent a big chunk of their lives wearing masks, separated from their friends. A lot of kids have been terrified because of the virus, and I can't touch my friend. I can't do the normal thing that 4 and 5 and 6 years want to do, which is to just roll around on the ground in the dirt with each other. And I haven't been able to do that for most of my life.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I think you're right. I think we do need a way to kind of be light and fluffy and to get out of the chains that we've been locked, that have been locking us into our houses, and really let our minds get out there and travel.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And actually there's the main climax of the story. There's kind of like a scary-ish storm. And I felt like it was important to be like, hey, this is things can be kind of scary sometimes, but there's like a really sweet, special moment there that they're still validating that it's a little scary, but they come together and they have a nice moment and it ends nicely. And I don't know. I think it's important for kids to be to be there with them in hard things, it can be tough, but we're here in it together and let's try to make it better. Mm-hmm. And, I think that was an important, part of the story that just kind of felt more real as we were going through the pandemic, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things, and I wasn't consciously teaching this to my daughter on those journeys, but when you're traveling around the country and you're in a van and driving thousands of miles over a couple of weeks, stuff happens.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that stuff can be a little bit nerve-wracking, especially when you're a 14-year-old girl and, thousands of miles away from home with this old man driving you. But somehow we developed this thing when we were facing those kind of scary, anxious moments, we were able to take a breath and go, this is going to be a great story when we get through this.
Yeah.
And just that whole idea of like, yeah, we're going to get through this. And I think that that's an important lesson for us to teach our kids. Like, yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, as an author, it's been really special to like see the value of stories and like to be able to like take them and like make something awesome. I don't know, like I come up with stories from like anything and anywhere, but one of the stories I wrote a rough draft of recently is like comes from like a really darker like times of my life, and like it was really like kind of like healing in a lot of ways to like start kind of rummaging through it and like build a story that and like make it feel like true still, but like good and a happy thing too. I don't know. It's like really special treat as an author. I feel like it's like a privilege to be able to write a story and to be able to share that with people. And it's just like, it's good for my heart. And then I get to share it with other people. And then hopefully it touches them as well. It's just really special.
Yeah. So you mentioned that this Set Sail for Pancakes was kind of inspired by an illustration that you created years ago and you kind of put into a special projects folder. Do you consider yourself an illustrator who writes, or are you starting to think of yourself as an author who can draw?
Oh, it's definitely both. I mean, I studied illustration and that was kind of like my real craft, but I also felt like writing was always something that was special to me. And, I think part of it was like, I didn't feel very confident because it's like, who am I to write a children's book? Like, but I don't know, like now I'm sort of feeling like more confident that like, yeah, I do both. Like I don't have to be self-conscious about it. Like I wrote a good book and it's great. And I did the pictures and that's great too. Yeah.
When you're writing Set Sail for Pancakes, I know the first image was created. The image was created first. But as you were developing the story, were the pictures coming first, followed by the text and manuscript, or did you sit down you took that first illustration you did 8 years ago, and you said, I'm going to sit down, and you got the manuscript, and then you went to work on the art?
There's a lot of both. I don't know. Like first when it was just a picture, I had like just in my head come up with a lot of different ideas of like what could this be. I even thought like maybe it'd be like a comic series or something, like a little comic strip series. And then I just like did a whole bunch of fun sketches for it. I'm like, maybe there could be these characters. And then when it came time to actually, like I got serious about writing it as a children's book, it was mostly just like brainstorming with my wife because she helps me come up with my like best ideas. But, yeah, it was like a lot of brainstorming first and then, like loose sketches and then like the story kind of changes so much along the way, especially when you get like work with your editor and stuff, like, cause they're like brilliant minds and they're like, we need to change this and this part's really good and we need to build that up. And I don't know, it's been really exciting too to go through the editing process because they're just like, you get to see how the great minds in the industry work too. It's awesome.
Yeah. You mentioned that the grandfather and granddaughter set sail and travel around and search for all these ingredients. Is there one place or one character that they encounter that is your favorite?
Ooh, I would say the storm scene, kind of what I mentioned earlier, it's just like a really sweet moment of like sweetness and levity in the middle of the storm, and it's just, I love how silly it is. Like, and that was one of the ideas that I was like bouncing off of my wife. I was like, hey, I kind of like this idea. Like, I want it to be like a little stronger, like to really bring it home. And she came up with like the banana phone thing, and it's just like, it's brilliant. So I feel like that's my favorite because it's just a lot of fun.
Well, you are a wise man because you listen to the input from your wife, and that might not mean that you're going to be a fantastically super talented and successful artist, illustrator, author. Although I think you are,
Thank you.
But it does mean that you're going to have a happy marriage.
Yes, for sure.
And that's so much more important.
It is. I gotta say, like, my wife is absolutely fantastic, and I don't understand when people put their spouses down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is like the most special person in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like an absolute, like, special privilege to be in the same room, and you get to, like, share your life with this person, and she, like, makes me better as an author and illustrator too, and, yeah, that leads me to say, I gotta say, like, thank you to her, like, taking care of our little one and, like, just being so supportive and doing 1,000,009 things every day. And, also thank you to all the people I've worked with, my editor and agent, Tracy and Sophie at Bookends, Tracy, Claire, Opal, and Sierra at Penguin, and, all the other people that have been supportive. I just wanted to make sure I say that. There's so many people that have been a part of making this happen, and I'm just eternally grateful. And it's been one thing too that's been really cool. Like, when you aren't in the industry, or like before you get published, you don't really know like how many people like see your book and work on it, and because like you look at the book at the store and it's just like one or two names on the front, and then you don't realize, oh, there's like a whole like full teams of people that make this happen. It's really special. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really respect and admire the fact that you took the time not only to thank your wife, but the rest of the folks on your team. I think that's very important. It's something that doesn't happen a lot. But I want to know if you've taken the time to visualize and think about the fact that, you, as a dad of an 18-month-old, I'm sure you're already reading to your daughter. And spending those moments and having your daughter sleep on your chest and that's such a cool moment. I mean, I just thinking back to that. You know how they fit right underneath your chin?
Yeah.
And it's like they go right up there. And
it's so great.
It is. And it's like, my wife always used to look at me, she goes, what do you have underneath there? Because like they go to sleep the minute they hit that one spot. And I'm like, I don't know. But whatever it is, good. But anyway, so how awesome it is to be sitting there with your daughter and she's curled up and either sleeping or awake and just making noises, and you're reading a story with her.
Yeah.
Have you taken time to think that there are soon to be hundreds, thousands of dads and moms around the country, around the world, who are going to be doing just that thing while they're reading Set Sail for Pancakes?
Wow. I don't think I really have. That's amazing. I just got my author copy the other day, and it was such a special moment, I gotta tell you. Like, first just like opening it and like holding it in my hands, I kept saying, this is real. And then when I like read it, like I showed my daughter, and she was like pointing, she's like, she's like pointing at like the birds and stuff, and like, oh man, like I cried. It was just so special. And then like, other people get to experience this book too. Mm-hmm. I haven't even like wrapped my head around any part of that, so that I'll have to work on that.
Well, I have a feeling that this kind of disbelieving buzz that you're experiencing right now is going to last for a few weeks or a few months, and I hope you enjoy every minute of it.
I will.
Because you've deserved it. Tell everybody, please, Tim, where they can go to find out more about Set Sail for Pancakes and find out more about you.
Yeah. I have a website, Kleyn Illustration, and it's Kleyn, Kleyn. Kleyn Illustration, that's kind of like a good hub for like all things me. And then if you want to order the book, if you go to penguinrandomhouse.com and search Set Sail for Pancakes, that's probably the best way to like find all the places to get it. I'm also you can look me up on Twitter and Instagram too, but yeah.
Awesome. We've had a really fun time speaking with the debut author illustrator of Set Sail for Pancakes, and more importantly, the dad of his little daughter, Tim Kleyn. Hey, Tim, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks so much. It was great.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Leslie Wall will be returning to the podcast to celebrate her debut picture book. It's called To Serve and Protect. That's the next episode of the podcast. Hey, if you're the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love for you to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Once you're there, you want to click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page. That way you can find out how you can be a guest here on Reading with Your Kids podcast and sit down in a long-form conversation. Tell the world about your fantastic book, your inspirations, tell them about you. Build up your brand. ReadingWithYourKids.com is also the place to find out about how you can submit your book for a certified great read panel. And if they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a certified great read. You can also learn about our really, really popular and effective monthly promotion program. We can celebrate your book for a whole month with commercials here on the podcast, messages to our 100,000 plus social media followers, display your book on our nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards, and have your book with us live at whatever event we happen to be participating in a given month. Learn all about that and more by going to readingwithyourkids.com, clicking on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to start by thanking our guest, Tim Kleyn. Get ready to set sail for pancakes with his debut picture book. Also want to thank our sponsors, Margaret Pollock. Her middle grade novel, Polar Peril, is amazing and one that you want to read with your tweens and teens. Also, Mark Bello, Happy Jack, Sad Jack, really powerful anti-bullying books. Great story to help you start some important conversations with your young ones around the issue of bullying. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Nicole Bell Castro, Mirabella Q, Rain Pan. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.